Hi, my name's Kirstie Hamilton and I'm Head of Exhibitions and Displays at Museum Sheffield, and I'm going to talk to you today about our Going Public International Collectors in Sheffield project, which happened last year between the 15th of September and the 12th of December. So just to start us off, this is one of the works that were in the exhibitions. This is a work from the Sandretto collection by the Chapman brothers, called Cyber Iconic Man, and just to see the impact of this installed in its own chapel at the cathedral was obviously quite a draw for press, which was great. So the project origins, Going Public stimulated a highly relevant debate about the future relationship between private philanthropy and the public art sector. The plan was to stage excellent exhibitions and a summit bringing the private and the public together. The concept for the project was initiated through conversations between Mark Doyle, who was then head of Contemporary Art Society North, Sebastian Montebanal, who is an art advisor and founder of Montebanal and Partners, and Lindsay Taylor, who was then exhibition curator at the Harris Art Gallery in Preston. Mark brought his experience of developing local collectors and patron schemes, as well as the fact that he perceived in the public sector a lack of knowledge and trust about the private sector. Sebastian brought his experience of working with private collectors and trying to show their collections in public institutions. And together, they acted as brokers for the project. They were very aware that there had been few attempts to directly engage philanthropists and collectors in the debate on the topic. So the main question was, who are the philanthropists of the 21st century, and how can the public sector work with them to the greatest benefit? So why Sheffield? From the beginning, it was very much an aim of the collectors and Mark and Sebastian that it be a northern venue for the project. The picture in the north is very different to the south, as we all are aware, and elsewhere in the regions, and it was about shifting that debate. Sheffield's a very connected city. It's got a strong visual arts sector, and one where the organisations work together. We have a cultural consortium, and we have a myriad of past projects, not least the Art Sheffield project. It's an ambitious city, and this was absolutely the right timing for Sheffield. The whole city was looking for something ambitious to say. We're still here, the cuts haven't had that significant an impact. Also, Sheffield, like most cities, has a strong history of philanthropy. We're home to the Ruskin collection, Ruskin, a master collection for the workers of Sheffield, to inspire them creatively, to inspire skills within them, and we kind of were building upon that. So what was our role in the project? We were there as basically the project managers to develop that project, to make sure it happened, to fundraise for the project, and to make sure all the partners were happy. So this is just a slide of the Graves Art Gallery, and this was kind of what we saw as the heart of the project. In 1929, another period of huge economic unrest, J.G. Graves, a Sheffield businessman and philanthropist, was asked to give money to build a central library building. He said, I'll give you your money, but you must build an art gallery on the top of your library building, and then proceeded to give hundreds of works for that art gallery. So we're kind of looking for where's the Graves in the 21st century, and the Graves building itself is in need of some significant repair. So, project outline. What we wanted to do, and this is in no particular order, but what we really wanted to do was promote understanding in Sheffield of the role that art has in creating a successful city, a city where people want to live, work, study and invest. We wanted to bring excellent international art to Sheffield and show Sheffield's ambition and the ability to deliver world-class exhibitions. The exhibitions acted as a backdrop to the debate, to focus the debate from London into the regions, as I've talked about, to bring private collectors and philanthropists and the art sector professionals together to share their thoughts and have a two-way conversation, and also to look at international models and consider where is philanthropy working and why is it thriving there. This is an image of a Kerith Wyn Evans work which was shown in the nave of the cathedral, again just to give you a bit of a scope for the project. So who were the collectors? It was a very carefully curated group of 4 different collectors with 4 different models of collecting. Nicolas Catalan, who's a French collector who then lived in London, who's been amassing a museum quality collection of minimal and conceptual art in recent years. Dominic and Sylvain Levy, who are a husband and wife couple, who again are French, and they collect contemporary Chinese art, but I think this is about their third major collection that they've embarked upon, and they are very much interested in the idea of how a collection can live online and other people can access it and use it, so they talk about this idea of clicks, not bricks. Egidio and Daniel Marzona from Germany. Egidio and Daniel are a father and son pairing and have an extensive archive of the 20th century, particularly the avant-garde. And they have made significant gifts to places like the Hamburger Bahnhof in Berlin, where Egidio gave 400 works. But they're also thinking about what happens next to the collection. Then we had Patrizia and Eugenio Sandretto Rabadengo from Italy, mouthful. And they collect contemporary art, but are particularly interested in social and political issues. And Patrizia started collecting in the 1990s. And they are the only one of the 4 collectors who actually have a foundation, but also had experience in how art could revitalise a city. In the city of Turin was where they were working. So here we have the Marzona exhibition, which was all around Marcel Duchamp displayed at the graves. And this we kind of saw as the core. I talked about the graves slightly before, but also it being about Marcel Duchamp. Without Marcel Duchamp, the other works wouldn't have existed. So it was a really interesting exhibition and very considered. Who were the Sheffield partners? So we were all very different organisations with all very different individual aspirations, but we all shared an ambition and aspiration for Sheffield itself. So Museum Sheffield, we have the Graves Art Gallery and the Millennium Gallery and acted as lead partner. Sheffield Cathedral, who were very committed to the project, but they didn't have the resource or the experience of realising something like this, so we had to take on that role. Sheffield Hallam University, who has a strong student community, some excellent art courses and research interests in the area. And then Site Gallery, and this was a bit of a departure for Site Gallery, who normally display emergent artists and commissioned work, so it was a bit of a change from their usual programme. And this is the DSL collection of contemporary Chinese art in the Sheffield Institute for Arts Gallery at Sheffield Hallam University. So what were the challenges? The project was not without risk. The funding, we aimed to get a balance between the private and the public, and that was challenging. We negotiated with Sheffield City Council to secure funding for an external PR agency, and that was the first time they'd really considered investing in this way. It was difficult to attract corporate support. There was a lot of enthusiasm from corporates, but it wasn't a tried and tested project, so they were reluctant to put their hands in their pockets. So the main funding came from the Arts Council. The timescale was also an issue. In the initial discussions began in 2012, but the project was delivered in autumn 2015. And the main part of the funding wasn't secured until May 2015, which brought with it additional capacity, but was also very late in the day. The number of partners internationally, nationally, and in Sheffield made it a really complex project. And the development of relationships was also very important in that these were very busy people who had major demands upon their time. Having Sebastian and Mark was really, really important to keep that oiling the wheels of those relationships when we didn't have the capacity to go and visit people in Italy and Paris all the time. Each organisation brought needed resources, but we were all working at capacity, and therefore we needed to prioritise the project. And what did we achieve? We realised very quickly that we had started a conversation, but there was much more to be said. We have an evaluation report due soon, and Louisa Buck is writing a paper which will help us share our findings. We did raise the profile of the city, with press coverage in The Guardian, the International New York Times, and the Financial Times, and that was really important for the city to see how their investment was used. We created a buzz within the sector and with our audiences, and we felt that we did put Sheffield on the map. We had over 136,000 visitors, which was 56,000 more than we'd expected. We built confidence and knowledge both internally and externally. We now have a track record, and the civic and business community are much more aware of the role that culture can have in making Sheffield a successful place. Collective strength. The project demonstrated the importance of working together. The complex network of partnerships was difficult at times, but everyone left the project with a positive experience and felt that their role was important and that it was a genuine partnership. This is a work from the Catalan collection at the Millennium Galleries. I'm skipping quickly. The legacy. So really it was the importance that ideas and people have in the conversation with philanthropists. It came up in numerous ways, but people invest in ideas and people, but they're not going to invest unless your organisation has security, and that's what they will give money towards. They'll give you time, but actually they'll give you money when they know you're going to be around in 5 years' time. New relationships, but in particular the project gave us the opportunity to reflect on how we develop and manage relationships. And I think that's particularly important to say that if we had the budget and the resource, we would have been courting those collectors much more than we were, and the relationships would be much less about going through Sebastian, but would be much more strong between the partners and the collectors. We did really well, and I think they are very strong relationships, but it would have been a slightly different project had that happened. Going public was an overwhelming success, and we want to keep it alive, so we're planning further activity and building onto another large-scale activity and project in 2018, and we want to share our learning throughout the sector. Sheffield Cathedral have a new relationship with contemporary art, and they are looking to work this way again, not just with us, but individual artists have been approaching them since. And there also is a potential art prize that one of the collectors is supporting in the city. And I just want to leave you with this slide, which is a work by Goshka Makuga at Sheffield Cathedral. And I think the title is particularly important to what we're talking about today. It's called Plus Ultra, which is the motto of the Habsburgs, and it means further beyond, which seemed quite apt.
Two terrific presentations to start the afternoon. We've got time for just a couple of questions, so if anybody would like to ask questions of either Sally or Kirstie about, these two projects and their real potential to grow local capacity.
Here's a question for Sally. Have any of the other previous European citizens of science said much about the legacy of the communities?
I think they were looking for different things in a way. I suppose I only really know a little bit about Copenhagen and Dublin, which were the most recent ones. But certainly in Dublin, the legacy for the Science Gallery, which you probably know of or know, was a very much wider group of European supporters and partners, and the international media focus sort of lived with them in a way that I don't think they think it would have done had they not had the opportunity of the year. They too took the opportunity to work with a whole lot of different partners across the city, libraries and so on. But there hasn't been in any of the cities, I don't think, a really significant piece of evaluation on that. So, it's obviously really challenging to measure that kind of thing over time. So I think it's more perception than evidence.
I've got one for Kirstie. I was just really interested in terms of legacy. Do you think that this project has actually created an ongoing relationship between private collectors and public institutions?
I think it has with certainly the collectors we worked with. We keep in touch with them. I think that's what we want to build up is more collectors having that and sharing our experiences of how you can do that, even if you are a small organisation. So, I think it has slightly changed. What was really interesting was what they were interested in doing wasn't just lending works to Sheffield. It was actually talking about their collections and what they're about. And that's something they don't often get asked to do. It's more often it's loans or it's on a specific theme. So to actually talk about why they collect and having like Egidio, for example, Egidio Marzona talk about his feeling of social responsibility for those artworks once he's gone was really quite inspiring to the other collectors. So they learned loads as well about their future, which was quite different and unexpected in some ways.
Yeah. Really interesting model. Thank you very much, both of you.